Every candle maker out there should be raising their prices now, and I'm going to tell you exactly why and some clever ways or some better ways to do just that. Hello everyone, I'm Jeff Standley with Standley Handcrafted, and today we're going to talk about raising prices, which is a topic that's not a fun one to jump into, but with the current state of the economy, the world, everything like that, it's something that everybody needs to be thinking about. And honestly, over the course of the last 2 years, it's something that everybody's had to deal with, and it's only getting worse coming up in the next year. Now, I did want to say before I get into this video that the testing for the new Frosted Lumen Vogues is going well. I just poured a bunch. I'll go ahead and put a couple pictures here. Just poured a bunch of those with 6006 and 2 LCS 50s. And then of course from the comments on the last video, I've got a bunch of different waxes and wicks lined up for the next set of testing. So we're going to be doing 464 with CD wicks, HTP wicks. We're going to be doing the Cedar Serica, coconut soy, and the cocoa apricot. So we've got a few waxes lined up. So definitely stay tuned for that video. We're going to put a bunch of stuff together and basically try to go through and show you exactly what fits and what works well in these vessels. Okay, so this topic kind of came about in the last week or two with a bunch of different suppliers sending out emails, posting on Instagram, anything like that, that they're going to be raising prices. Some of them are going to be doing it in increments over the next couple months, and some of them have just raised them already. And if you've been making candles, or if you're new to making candles, this is nothing new, and it's also something that we've seen over the last couple of years. If you've been looking at wax, oils, or anything like that, all of those have jumped up in the last several months, and of course over the last couple of years. With some of those items, wax, oils, and stuff like that have almost doubled in pricing and shipping. So it's definitely something that, like I said, it's only going to get worse, especially with rising gas prices right now. I was driving home today and drove past a place, and I'll go ahead and put a picture of it here because I had it. Some of the local gas stations around here, and I'm in Washington State, so it's always really high here compared to anywhere else in the US, but it was right around $5 to $5.50 depending on what you were getting, which is unbelievably high. I think even just a couple months ago, I was still paying like $3.99 or $4.09 at a couple different places, which again was still high. But what that ultimately means for candle makers and why you're watching this video is that's ultimately going to raise prices for you. It's going to raise prices on any supplies that you get, any oils, wicks, the vessels, the waxes, anything like that. They're basically passing those prices and those price increases onto you, which is why I would urge anybody out there, anybody that's just now getting into candle making and anybody that's currently making candles, to raise your prices accordingly. Now, this could mean any number of things, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to double your prices. And in some cases, you may not need to raise your prices at all. And that, of course, goes back into some of the other videos where I've mentioned pricing and how to properly price your candles. And a lot of people out there already have good pricing on their candles. I do on some of mine, and I don't on some of the other lines that I have. And what I mean by that is you've got prices with a good enough margin that you can absorb some of these increases. So if you already pay $2 a pound for a certain wax, you can, if they raise it to $2.50, you have margins that can accept that. And you may choose to eat up some of that margin so that you're not passing that on to your customers. But in other cases, if you do have a candle that may be priced really low, like if you've got an 8 or a 10 ounce candle and you've got it priced around like the $10 area, your margins are now getting eaten alive, because that is, first of all, it's a very low price for a candle, no matter what you're doing, and almost no matter the bulk that you're buying in. $10 for a candle, 8 to 10 ounce, is not a great margin for those. And of course, when you factor in wax going up, wicks going up, shipping going up, oils going up, and the vessels going up, you just lost maybe $1, $1.50, or even $2 per candle. And when you're looking at a candle that's maybe $10, losing $2 out of 10 is quite a big difference. So that's what I was going to go into today. And I'm actually currently in the process of raising some of the prices on my candles. I did that to 2 of the baseline models, kind of the lower end ones that I have on my website over the last year. I think I went from 14 and 16 up to 20 and 22, which was a pretty big jump. So I don't know that I need to go too much higher on those candles. I'm still going through, and basically over the next couple months, going to watch the pricing for everything that's coming in and kind of see what it does to the margins within those candles. But the other lines that I have where I'm charging a little bit more, like $30, $40 for a candle, I really don't need to do too much on those because I do have the margin set pretty high on those. So I can absorb $1 or $2 per candle on that one and still make a good profit where I don't think I'm losing out. So if you are listening to this, the next question comes about is how do you raise your prices without it being jarring to the customers, and how do you do so without losing customers? And I found a couple articles that I'm going to go ahead and link in the video description down below so you guys can go check that stuff out and see what is kind of happening and what other people are saying on kind of how to do it properly. But I did find one article that laid out a few different things, some of the top do's and don'ts on how to raise your prices effectively and kind of more friendly to your customers. So I'm going to go ahead and go through those right now. Okay, number one on their list is study what your competitors are doing. If you take a look around at a bunch of different candle makers and you see them raising their prices, you can definitely follow suit. It's one of those things where a lot of customers will see that. And again, a lot of customers see price hikes or products raising their prices all over the place. So you doing this is not going to seem out of place right now. So it's definitely a good time. If you've been on the fence about raising your prices, this is definitely a good time to do it because people are kind of anticipating it. And of course, when you start to look at your competitors, you'll know what they're doing, kind of how much they're going up. Number two is don't be sneaky. There's really nothing that you need to hide or kind of slip under the rug with this one. You're raising your prices. And I mean, again, like I said, most people know this is going to happen, so there's no need to be sneaky about it. You don't need to change your prices at 2 a.m. so that nobody notices or anything like that. And of course, you can let people know in advance by sending out emails, which happened over the last couple of weeks, just to kind of prepare customers that, hey, with everything going up, this is kind of something that we have to do, and we love our customers, and we just want to let you guys know so that you're not hit with it just all of a sudden. The next one, number 3, is explain your reasons. And this one, again, is a very easy one to do in the email or Instagram post or anything like that. And I see a lot of people doing this one very well in the Facebook group, and they've kind of lined out how they're doing it. And one great way is basically let your customers know with rising gas prices, with shipping prices, especially if you're getting stuff overseas. And I think I mentioned it in a previous video where if you were getting a container shipped from overseas, it used to be right around like $4,000 or $5,000. And in the last year, it's jumped up to almost and around $20,000. So that is a huge price jump from $4,000, $5,000 to $20,000. And of course, depending on what you have in that container, you're going to have to equal that out across all the products that are in that container. Number 4 on the list is going to be don't apologize. This isn't something that you need to apologize for. Definitely don't really show signs of weakness or anything like that. Just let people know up front, this is something that we have to do. And of course, when you do things like seem anxious or a little bit nervous to raise your prices, you're going to leave the room for people to try and negotiate with you. And with this one, there is no negotiations because you are taking those price hikes. So because you yourself as a candle maker are buying these products and you don't get to negotiate on your shipping prices. So you definitely want to make sure that you're handling it in a clear and concise way so that people know that this is honestly something that you have to do. Number 5 in the next one, this is one that a lot of people don't like to hear, is you will lose some customers. How many is really dependent on the type of customer that you have and the prices that you raise your candles to. Now, if you're going from a $10 candle to a $30 candle, you're probably going to have some upset customers. But if you're going from a $10 candle to a $13 to $15 candle, that's not a big price jump, although 10 to 15 is a pretty significant jump. But if you were up around like the $20, $25 mark and you raised it from 20 to 25 or 25 to 30, it doesn't seem nearly as bad. That's not a huge price jump. And along with losing some customers, you will actually gain some customers too. And if you handle this the right way, by not apologizing, not being sneaky, sending out emails, there are a lot of people out there that like to support small businesses and they won't mind the price jump with the candles. And of course, you will see some other people kind of jump on board with that because your most loyal customers will tell other people, which will then become new customers for you. Now, in the article, they go into some kind of tips and tricks that you can do to kind of increase the prices. The first one is going to be adding fees, which I'm not a huge fan of, especially with candles. There's really not too many fees that you can add on. I did see one company, I forget who I ordered from, but they added a little bit more handling fees, which again, it wasn't huge. It was, I think, $1 or $2 for the order, but a handling fee, I don't know. It didn't really make sense to me. So they do suggest that one. And I think in a certain industry, it might work. But for me, I just didn't see the benefit of having fees, or I didn't really see it being necessary to add fees for candles. The next one that they recommend, and this is one that I've recommended for years, is increasing your prices in stages. And what you're going to do is basically let people know that over the next couple months, you're going to see a couple price jumps, and a bunch of companies do this one. So you can say over the course of the year, it's going to be going from 20 to 25, but we're going to do it in small increments. So it'll be 20 to 22, maybe 20 to 24, and then ultimately 25. And this one actually gives customers a little bit more time to adjust. And again, people don't really think too much about a $2 price hike. So if you do $2 in 3-4 months and another $2 in 3-4 months, it's really not that big of a jump to a customer that's buying your candles repeatedly. Another way that you can increase prices where it doesn't seem like you're really hurting the customer, or the customer doesn't seem like they're getting hurt, is adding more value to the candle or the product in general. And I was trying to think of ways to do this one, and the best way I could come up with it is almost making your packaging a little bit better, offering candle cards and stuff like that. Anything extra that you can put in with the candle. Of course, it's going to cost you something, but the cost for adding like nicer tissue paper or candle care cards or anything like that, or even a trimmer or something like that, you can get a lot of those things for $1 or $2, and you can turn around and raise your price on the candle by $5. So you may be spending another $1 or $2 per candle, but your new profit is an extra $3 on top of that. And of course, the customer at the very end of the line making these and selling these gets a candle with a lot more added value to it. And the last one that they have on this list is to create a lesser option. So again, if you have a candle that's around $25, $30, you may introduce a $15 candle, something that's a little bit smaller, so that people can still get a product from you, a candle from you, and maybe they don't want to buy the new $30 candle, but they will still get a smaller $15 candle from you. All right, so that's pretty much it with this list. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the video description down below so you guys can take a look at it. And if there's anything in here that I missed as far as raising prices, please let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what other people are doing, and I'd love to hear what people think of the list. I know some people aren't going to like this, so if you don't like the list and raising prices, please, again, let me know in the comment section down below. And I would love to do a follow-up video on that as well. And of course, whether or not you choose to go ahead with a price jump on your products is really up to you. But you should definitely be aware that prices are being raised on you. So if you don't mind absorbing those increased prices so that you don't pass it on to your customers, perfectly fine. If you don't want to lose those margins, now is the time to raise your prices. So I hope you liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Hit the subscribe button so that you know when new videos are coming out, and we'll see you in the next video.